Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Annajah and I'm going to explain the questions of final test of Sociolinguistic class. For the first questions, give examples of 5 for each external and internal variations, all level of variations in your indigenous language, and explain. As Madura's people, so I will explain Madura language. The first is external variations. There are 5 levels. For number 1, geographical variations. Maduras may exhibit regional variations based on geographical factors. For example, Madura spoken in the eastern part of Madura Island may have slight differences in vocabulary, pronunciations, or grammar compared to Madura spoken in the western part or in another regions where Madura's communities reside, such as the word kamu or you as Batnah, Kakeh, and Hede. It is used in different areas part of Madura Island. The second is dialectal variations. Maduras may have dialectal variations based on specific regions or communities. For instance, the Madura spoken in Bangkalan, Sumeneb, and Pamekasan may have distinct dialectal features, including variations in vocabulary, pronunciations, or grammar, such as the difference in polite and impolite word, njayah and engkipunten. The third is contact-induced variations. Madura spoken in areas with significant contact with other languages or cultures may display variations influenced by those interactions. For example, Madura spoken in urban areas with a high level of Japanese influence may incorporate Japanese loan words or grammatical structures. The fourth is sociolictal variations. Maduras may have variations based on social factors such as socioeconomic status or education level. The language used by educated professionals in formal settings may differ slightly from the language used in informal or rural contexts. Educated professionals use more polite words than the informal context. The last is number 5, register variations. Maduras may exhibit variation based on different registers or contexts of language use. For instance, there may be variations between formal Maduras used in informal, unofficial or written communications and informal Maduras used in casual conversations or everyday interactions. And the next is internal variations with 5 levels. The first is phonological variation. Maduras may have internal phonological variations, including differences in pronunciations of certain sounds or phonetic features, such as vowel lengths or consonant clusters within different subdialectal or speech communities. For example, Abtina nginom kopi and Sengkok nginom kopi. So that's just a phonological variations example. The next one is lexical variations. Maduras may exhibit internal lexical variations where different words or expressions are used to describe the same concepts or objects. These variations can be influenced by regional preference or historical factors, such as Ongku Kamariah Cek Sempetah and Kamariah Cek Sempetah. So it has the difference in the word of Ongku, but these two sentences still have the same meaning. The next one is grammatical variations. Internal grammatical variations may exist in Maduras, such as differences in word order, inflectional patterns, or the use of certain grammatical constructions across different communities or dialects. For example, It's the sentence that contains noun, adjective in the structure, and the word is Kak Disa se moret pinter or arwah moret se pinter. That's the smart students. That's the meaning. And then a noun that added by se, then also adjective structure, such as dia moret se pinter, he is smart student. So it still have the same meaning, but different structures or the pattern in the sentence. The next is morphological variations. Matters may display internal morphological variations, including differences in word formations process or the use of affix and suffix, which can vary between different matters dialectal or subdialects, such as the added of c and suffix a in a sentence. Tanaria c karenga. This land is very dry. The suffix is c karenga. Then number 5, idiomatic expressions. Matters may have internal variations in idiomatic expressions, proverbs, or used within specific communities or regions. These variations can add colorful and unique aspects to the language, reflecting local cultures' nuances, such as Chile tak tolong. It is to say to people that fussy in a bad situations, or it means jerawat, very fussy. Okay, for the next questions is explain the concept of bad language in your cultures. Give examples and explaining of them. I will explain as Indonesian people, as Indonesian and also Indonesia culture. For the first is kasar or vulgar is sexually explicit language. For example, using explicit sexual terms as insult. The second one is kotor or dirty. It means obscene or offensive language. And the example, sharing explicit jokes in public. The third one is cursing or sampah serapah is swearing or using offensive words to express anger. Examples, using strong profanities during an argument. The next one is fitnah or defamations, is spreading false or damaging information about someone. For example, spreading false rumors to harm someone's reputations. And then the last is number 5, sarcasm or sindiran, subtly mocking or belittling through indirect remarks. Example, using sarcasm to mock someone's actions. And for the next questions, this is the video that to be analyzed, and the title that I choose is second 2020 presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. For the first, I will explain in politeness strategies. For the first, welcoming and expressing gratitude. The moderator begins by welcoming and thanking the participants, showing politeness and appreciations for their presence. The next one is showing concern and empathy. The moderator acknowledges that the First Lady had been unwell and expresses gratitude for her recovery, displaying politeness and empathy. For the speech X is used a positive language. So the statement includes positive language when discussing the actions taken to fight the disease, such as fighting it hard, we are rounding the turn and it's going away. The language is intended to instill confidence and also optimism. The next one is criticizing previous statements. The first person points out that the second person made statements in the past that turned out to be inaccurate. They question the second person's ability to predict or handle the situations correctly. The next one is responding with defense. The second person defends themselves by explaining that they took early actions and made decisions based on available information. They criticize the first person's handling of a previous health crisis. The next one is highlighting accomplishments. The second person emphasizes that they followed recommended measurement and took steps earlier than their opponent. They want to showcase their achievements and leadership qualities. So it in change involves expressions, disagreement, or criticisms, but without resorting to personal attacks or offensive language. The language used focuses on contrasting statements, defending actions, and questioning the opponent's decisions. The next one is implicators. For this first concern for COVID-19 by mentioning the high number of hospitalizations and deaths due to COVID-19, the moderator highlights the seriousness of the crisis and implies the need for effective leadership. And the next one is competence and responsibility. President Trump implies that his administration has taken significant measures to combat the virus, including closing the economy, developing operations warp speed for vaccine distributions, and sharing positive feedback from other countries. He suggests that his personal experience with COVID-19 and recovery reflects his leadership capabilities. And the last is criticism and accountability. Former Vice President Biden implies that the high death toll and new cases demonstrate a failure of leadership and suggests that those responsible should not remain in power. He presents himself as an alternative solution to lead the country out of the crisis. For the fourth questions, analyze your ingenious language level of fatality by using 9 aspects of UNESCO language fatality measurement. So I will explain as Maduris people or as Madura language. The first is intergenerations transmissions. Madurese is still spoken by families and communities, especially in rural areas, but younger people are using Indonesian more. The next one is the second one, number of speakers. Around 14 million people speak Madurese, mostly in Madura Island and nearby regions such as Jember and other areas. The next one is proportions of speakers. Many people on Madura Island speak Madurese, but the percentage of Madurese speakers in Indonesia as a whole is decreasing. And the fourth is proficiency. Older people generally speak Madurese well, but younger speakers may not be as fluent. The fifth is language use. Madurese is used in daily conversations, cultures, events, and rituals. However, Indonesian is more commonly in formal settings like schools and media. Number 6. Written materials. There are not many written resources in Madurese, which make it harder to preserve and teach the language. The next one is official status. Madurese is not an official language, so it doesn't have the same recognizing with Indonesia. And then education. Madurese is not widely taught in schools. Indonesian is the main language of instructions. And the last, number 9, community attitudes. Madurese speakers generally have positive attitudes towards their language, but the influence of Indonesian and its perceived advantages may affect younger generations' attitudes. So in summary, Madras has many speakers and community support, but it faces challenges in education's official recognitions and media presence. Promoting the use of Madras in various areas and providing more educational opportunities could help keep the language alive. So that's the answer of my question, is also my explaining of the analysis. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.